Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new story. My name's Ben. I fix things. Toasters, leaky faucets, Mrs. Henderson's ancient lawnmower that sounds like a dying chainsaw. Life was simple. Clock in at the hardware store, clock out, maybe grab a beer with Dave from next door. Until the squirrels went crazy. It started small. A Tuesday, I think. I was wrestling with Mrs. Petrovsky's garbage disposal, thing had swallowed a spoon, somehow, when a sparrow smacked right into my kitchen window. Thump. Not unusual, birds do that sometimes. But then another one did it. And another. Like they weren't even trying to avoid the glass. Later, walking home, I saw old man Finnegan's usually grumpy terrier, Brutus, sitting in the middle of the street. Not barking, not growling. Just, trembling. Whining like his heart was breaking. Cars honked, swerved around him. He didn't move. Brutus. Get out of the road, you mutt. I yelled, finally scooping him up. He felt rigid, vibrating almost. His eyes were wide, terrified. I carried him back to Finnegan's porch. The old man just shook his head, bewildered. Been like that all mornin', he rasped. Just froze. Like he heard something awful. That was weird. Then Dave called me that night. His voice was tight. Ben. You gotta see this. Out back. Now. I went. His backyard, usually just a patch of grass and a rusty grill, was crawling. Not with bugs. With raccoons. 5, 6 of them. Not rummaging. Not fighting. Huddled together under the single sad patio light, shivering violently. Their little masked faces turned upwards, not at the light, but at the empty sky. Silent. Just shaking. What the heck? I breathed. Yeah, Dave said. He looked pale. They just showed up. Like refugees. Been like this for an hour. The next few days were a blur of strange animal news. Local chatter, then snippets on the radio, then full-blown news reports. Deer stampeding into towns instead of away. Dogs refusing to go outside, hiding in bathtubs. Cats yowling at corners of rooms where nothing was there. Fish leaping out of ponds. Bees abandoning hives. It wasn't localized. It was everywhere. A low-grade panic started simmering in people. What was poisoning them? A new disease? Some kind of silent toxin? Then Dr. Eris Thorne showed up on the news. She looked exhausted, but her eyes were blazing with a fierce intensity. She ran some big bioacoustics lab at the university downtown. We have an answer, she said, her voice clear despite the fatigue. Not poison. Not disease. It's sound. The news anchor looked skeptical. Sound, Dr. Thorne. But we haven't heard anything unusual. Exactly, Dr. Thorne leaned forward. It's infrasound. Sound waves with frequencies below what the human ear can detect. Below 20 Hz. We've detected an unprecedented, global spike in extremely low-frequency infrasound. It's pervasive, constant. And animals across countless species are reacting to it. Profoundly. The screen split, showing graphs with jagged lines spiking off the charts. Our instruments picked it up. It started faintly about 3 weeks ago, building slowly. Now it's like a constant, deep hum resonating through the planet itself. We call it, the hum. My blood ran cold. 3 weeks. About the time the sparrows hit my window. About the time Brutus froze. The anchor frowned. But what's causing it, doctor? Earthquakes. Storms. Dr. Thorne shook her head. The pattern doesn't match any known geological or meteorological phenomena. The frequencies are too consistent, too structured. And the source? She paused, took a breath. Our triangulation points suggest the source isn't stationary. It's moving. Slowly. Methodically. Moving? Like what? We don't know, Dr. Thorne admitted. That's the terrifying part. We don't know what's generating this sound, or why. But its effect on the animal kingdom is catastrophic. They're hearing something we cannot. Something that, to them, sounds like pure terror. Or a warning siren we're all deaf to. Suddenly, the weirdness made a horrible kind of sense. The animals weren't sick. They were hearing something awful. Something we were blissfully, dangerously unaware of. Chaos didn't erupt immediately. It seeped in. Farms were hit hard. Cows stopped giving milk, just stood trembling in fields. Chickens piled into corners, smothering each other. Sheep wouldn't move. Pets became unpredictable. My job at the hardware store shifted from selling paint to boarding up windows for people scared their panicked dog might jump through the glass. Dave started keeping Brutus doped up on doggy sedatives, but the little guy still flinched at nothing, his eyes darting wildly. The city felt different. Quieter, in a creepy way. No birdsong in the mornings. Just an oppressive silence, broken only by the occasional distant siren or the muffled sounds of human fear. You could feel the tension, thick as fog. Everyone was waiting. For what? Then came the rats. I was working late at the store, trying to fix our ancient cash register that kept jamming. The street outside was deserted. That's when I heard it. Not a sound, really. More like a pressure. A vibration deep in my chest, like standing too close to giant speakers at a concert, but silent. My teeth felt funny. My coffee mug rattled faintly on the counter. The hum. Dr. Thorne said we couldn't hear it, but could we feel it? Was it getting stronger? Then the scratching started. From the basement. Not the usual skittering. This was frantic, desperate clawing. Like something trying to dig through concrete. I grabbed a heavy flashlight, more a club than a light source, and cautiously opened the basement door. The beam cut through the dusty darkness. The concrete floor near the back wall was moving. A seething, undulating mass of fur and tails and beady eyes. Dozens, maybe hundreds of rats. They weren't trying to get in. They were trying to get out. Clawing at the solid wall, climbing over each other in a blind, terrified frenzy. Ignoring me completely. The sheer, silent panic of it was worse than any noise. I slammed the door shut, my heart hammering against my ribs. They weren't attacking. They were escaping. The next morning, Dr. Thorne was back on every screen. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. The hum is intensifying, she stated flatly. Its source trajectory has been mapped. It's approaching. From the ocean depths. East Coast. Estimated time of coastal proximity, 48 hours. The ocean. Something massive, deep underwater, emitting a sound that drove animals insane. Moving. Towards us. Panic, the humankind, finally exploded. The roads jammed instantly. People screaming, abandoning cars, trying to head inland, west, anywhere away. Stores were looted for food, water, weapons. The hardware store got cleaned out in under an hour, crowbars, hammers, generators, anything remotely useful for survival or barricading. Mr. Henderson, the owner, just locked the door after the last frantic customer left and handed me a key. "Good luck, Ben," he muttered, his face gray, before disappearing into the chaos. I didn't join the exodus. Where would I go? And besides, I fix things. What was broken here felt too big for a wrench. Dave showed up at my door, Brutus clutched tight in his arms, the dog a shivering ball of fur. "They won't let us on the buses with dogs, Ben," Dave said, his voice cracking. "They're prioritizing people. Just, people." He looked lost. "What do we do?" I didn't know. We barricaded ourselves in my small house. Dragged the sofa against the door. Boarded up the windows as best we could with scraps of plywood I had in the shed. It felt stupid, pointless, like building a sandcastle against a tsunami. But it was something to do. Brutus whimpered constantly, burrowing under blankets, trying to hide from the sound only he could hear. The oppressive pressure in the air grew heavier. You could almost taste it, metallic and wrong. The day it arrived dawned unnaturally still. No wind. No birds. Just that suffocating silence and the deep, subsonic thrumming that vibrated in your bones, made your fillings ache. Dave and I sat on my lumpy living room floor, listening to a battery-powered radio. Most stations were dead air or emergency broadcasts repeating evacuation zones that no longer existed. Then, a crackle, and a familiar, strained voice. Dr. Thorne. She must have commandeered a university transmitter. "This is Dr. Eris Thorne," her voice was thin, stretched tight. "The source, it's reached the continental shelf. We have visual confirmation, of sorts. Deep-sea monitoring platforms, sonar." She took a shuddering breath. "It's immense. Larger than any known creature by orders of magnitude. The infrasound isn't just a byproduct, it's a signal. A constant, directional emission. We believe it's navigating. Or perhaps, communicating over vast distances. Its path is deliberate. It's not heading for population centers, it's following geological lines. Deep ocean trenches, then rift valleys." Her voice cut out for a second, filled with static that buzzed in time with the hum vibrating through my floorboards. The animals, they weren't just scared. They were oriented. Trying to flee the path, the vibration, the footsteps. Footsteps. The word hung in the thick air. Dave gripped Brutus tighter. The little dog let out a high-pitched whine, trying to burrow into Dave's armpit. "The good news," Dr. Thorne continued, hysterical edge creeping into her voice, "is it doesn't seem hostile. It hasn't deviated. It hasn't surfaced. It ignores us completely. We are ants beneath its notice." The bad news. Another pause, longer this time. The static roared. The intensity, it's reaching critical thresholds for many species. Nervous systems are overloading. The mass die-offs, they're accelerating. Entire ecosystems, collapsing. The broadcast dissolved into pure noise. Dave stared at me, his face bloodless. "Footsteps," he whispered. "Ben, what is it?" "I don't know, Dave," I said, my own voice sounding strange. "Something old. Something big." The immensity of it was beyond comprehension. A creature so vast its footsteps vibrated the planet, a sound so deep it was a silent scream to every animal on Earth. And we humans, clever, noisy humans, were utterly deaf to the approach of the Leviathan. We'd been oblivious, tinkering with our toasters while the world screamed. We spent the day huddled by the radio, but Dr. Thorne didn't come back on. Emergency broadcasts droned on about staying indoors, avoiding coastal areas. Useless. The hum was everywhere. It got so strong the walls buzzed. Plaster dust sifted down from the ceiling. My teeth felt permanently on edge. Brutus progressed from trembling to full-blown seizures. Dave was frantic, crying, trying to soothe him. It was horrible. Helpless. Then, late afternoon, a new sound cut through the oppressive vibration. Not a sound I could hear with my ears, but a sudden shift in the pressure. Like the world taking a deep breath. Then, release. The bone-deep thrumming lessened. Not stopped, but dialed down. From a scream to a murmur. Brutus, mid-seizure, suddenly went still. His panting slowed. His wide, terrified eyes blinked. He whined, softly, but it was a different sound. Confused, maybe, but not pure terror. He lifted his head weakly and licked Dave's hand. Dave sobbed, holding him close. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Outside, the unnatural silence remained, but the crushing pressure was lifting. Like a migraine fading. I cautiously peered through a gap in the boarded-up window. Nothing looked different. The empty street, the gray sky. But the vibration, it was receding. Hours later, a scratchy broadcast confirmed it. Dr. Thorne, sounding utterly drained but strangely calm. The source, it has passed. Moved inland, following a deep geological rift. The intensity of the hum has dropped significantly. It's still present, a background resonance, but manageable for most species. For now. She paused. We have no idea what it was. A migratory behemoth? A planetary-scale organism? We may never know. It showed no awareness of us. Our world is simply, beneath its notice. A stepping stone. Her voice hardened slightly. But it showed us something vital. We are not separate from the natural world. We are part of an orchestra of senses far more vast and complex than we understood. We were deaf to the most important sound in recent history. The animals, they knew. They tried to warn us. Their suffering was the only alarm bell we couldn't ignore, yet couldn't comprehend. She took a deep breath. We have to listen better. Not just with machines, but by paying attention to the world we share. The hum is fading, but the lesson must resonate louder. We need to learn the language of the planet. Before the next footstep falls. The broadcast ended. Dave and I sat in the dim living room for a long time. Brutus slept, a real sleep, his little chest rising and falling peacefully. The awful tension was gone, replaced by a profound exhaustion and a deep, unsettling awe. Life didn't snap back to normal. How could it? The highways stayed clogged for weeks. Power was spotty. Food was scarce. People were traumatized, grieving lost pets, livestock, the shattered illusion of human dominance. Mr. Henderson reopened the hardware store, but business was different. People didn't just buy nails, they asked about soundproofing materials, shared stories about their animals. I still fix things. Mrs. Petrovsky's new garbage disposal was a beast. But now, when I hear a bird hit a window, or see a dog acting strangely, I don't just shrug. I stop. I listen. Not just with my ears, but with a new awareness humming in my bones. I watch the squirrels in the park. Are they just foraging? Or are they pausing, heads cocked, listening to the deep, slow song of the earth that we still can't quite hear? Dr. Thorne was right. The hum faded to a barely perceptible background vibration, a constant reminder. We didn't find the Leviathan. Satellites showed nothing. Sonar detected only vast emptiness where it had passed. It was gone, as mysteriously as it arrived. But the world felt thinner. More fragile. And louder, in a way I couldn't explain. Not with noise, but with the absence of life that hadn't survived the passage. The silence where the bees should buzz, the empty branches where birds no longer sang certain songs. The animals that remained seemed watchful. Jumpy in a different way. Not terrified, but alert. Like survivors scanning the horizon. Dave and Brutus moved in with me for a while. Dave lost his job when the warehouse he worked at shut down. Brutus recovered, mostly. He still startles easily, flinches at sudden movements, and sometimes whines at night for no reason we can see. But he plays fetch. He wags his tail when Dave comes home. He's alive. We both watch him carefully. His reactions are our early warning system now. The university set up a global network, the Thorn Array. Thousands of sensitive listening posts, on land and sea, constantly monitoring the deep frequencies. Dr. Thorn leads it. She's become less of a scientist, more of a sentinel. Waiting. Listening. Teaching us to interpret the rumble of volcanoes, the groan of glaciers, the subtle shifts in the planet's infrasonic signature. Looking for patterns. Listening for footsteps. I help where I can. Turns out, fixing sensitive acoustic equipment isn't that different from fixing a garbage disposal, just quieter. And the stakes are higher. One day, Dr. Thorn visited the store. She looked older, her eyes holding a weight I couldn't fathom. "Ben," she said, picking up a specialized acoustic sealant. "The array picked up something last night. Faint. Very deep. Not a pattern we recognize. Not close. Maybe, equatorial deep ocean." My hand tightened on the wrench I was holding. The familiar, cold pressure started building in my chest, even though I knew I couldn't actually feel it yet. "Another one?" She shrugged, a tired gesture. Maybe. Maybe just geology singing a new song. We don't know. That's the point now. We listen. We learn. She paid for the sealant. "Keep your ears open, Ben. And watch Brutus." I do. We all do. The birds are slowly coming back. New ones, different ones, adapting to the changed soundscape. Life is stubborn. But the easy rhythm of before is gone. Replaced by a watchful tension. We rebuild, but differently. Houses have thicker walls now. Basements are soundproofed. People plant gardens not just for food, but because watching the insects and the birds feels like monitoring vital signs. The mystery of the first Leviathan hangs over everything. Where did it come from? Where was it going? Why? Was it alone? Dr. Thorn's team publishes papers full of complex equations and sonar shadows, but the core truth remains: we encountered something unimaginably vast and ancient, and it didn't even know we were here. We were static on a frequency it didn't use. It humbled us. Broke us, in some ways. But it also woke us up. We finally understand we're not the audience. We're part of the performance, sharing the stage with giants whose movements are symphonies we're only just learning to perceive. The silence isn't silent anymore. It's full of deep, slow music. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, or when the ground feels strangely still, I see Brutus lift his head. His ears twitch. Not in fear, but in attention. Listening to the secret sounds of the world, the hum beneath everything. I put down my tools. I sit beside him on the porch. I close my eyes. And I try, really try, to listen too. Not with my ears, but with the memory of that terrifying vibration in my bones, with the echo of Dr. Thorn's warning. The world is speaking. We need to learn its language. Because the next footstep might not just pass us by. And next time, we might not just be deaf. We might be standing right in its path.